So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZWGames5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below. What's up YouTube, Daryl here from Z4 Games, bringing you, as you can see, an updated Dark Magician deck profile using this bad boy. This is the brand new card that we got in the Gold Sark Megatins, Magician of Black Chaos Max. This card is, you can ritual summon this card with Chaos form. If this card is special summoned, you contribute one monster. Your opponent cannot activate monster effects this turn. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, target one spell in your graveyard and add it to your hand. Only use the effect once per turn. It is a walk-in, talk-in, 2800 beat-in Azathoth. Specifically for Dark Magician, but it can be played in any ritual deck. Now, the one thing that I will mention at the start of this video is that this card does work better in Blue Eyes than Dark Magician. Now, the reason that works better is because you run a lot of level 8s, so you can actually use Advanced Ritual Art a lot more consistently. You don't have to overclog the deck because you're already playing Chaos form as well. However, with this build here, what I have done is I have built it solely focused on this being our main going first and going second stun win con. We then have additional win cons throughout the deck because of course we use the normal Dark Magician engine alongside our win con of Quintet Magician as well. The whole idea is that you're going to be looping this guy with back to the front to then Azathoth your opponent during their turn so they don't have anything to do. Continue to build the board during your turn, do a little bit of damage, then bring this guy back again. And of course, Azathoth again to slow your opponent down, because what Dark Magician really needs is it does need its turn to build up. There are a couple of little texts I do have to one side. The main one being Urgent Ritual Art. So this is something I haven't put into the main deck, but the best thing about this is that it can trigger off your Magician of Dark Illusion. The reason I haven't put this card in the main deck is purely because it does require you to already have a ritual spell in the graveyard, so it then means that you'll either have to play Foolish Bearer of Goods to make it consistent, or you would have already used its effect to summon this. Now, rather than having more fodder in the deck that I'm going to need to send, or stuff in my hand that I'm going to need to send to make the Chaos Max, I've made it so that the main deck holds all the pieces that you need. It does still need a little bit of work. There's a couple of bits that need changing, so by all means, as we go through the list, if there's anything that you see that you feel that you might need to change, or something that you feel would be a good addition to the deck, then just let me know. Other than that, most of the hand traps and stuff like Nibiru and Dark Ruler No More will be in the side deck as an additional option, and of course you can swap out the certain types of engines within the deck to help make either this more consistent or less consistent depending on what you're facing. So, after all that babbling, we're going to crack straight into the deck profile. So of course, with any standard Dark Magician lineup, you do want to play triple Dark Magician. Of course, this is the most important card of the deck. I don't play the level 7 ritual, and again, I'll explain why. The deck was so tightly built as it is right now. Like I said, the only ritual focus we do have is Magician of Black Chaos. The fact it is a level 8 causes more problems than you think, but there are nice, easy ways of playing around it and using it and abusing it as best you can. We then play Triple Magician's Rod. Now, the other thing that I was concerned about is I haven't got Manju in here, purely because I want Rod to be our main searcher, because it can search you out your Chaos form, it can search you out your circle, it can pretty much search you out a good 60 to 70% of the deck. If you want to go more ritual focused, then of course you do put Manju in here, and that means that your incantations are going to be a bit more consistent as well. We've then got the Double Apprentice Illusion Magician. This is of course to get you, for your second win con, get your Dark Magician hand, and of course it can boost Magician of Black Chaos up to a 4800 beta. We'll then play 2 Magician of Black Chaos. Now the issue with this is there's only 2 times that you can summon this. So you summon it with Advanced Ritual Art as your first summon, because all the ritual spells require exact numbers apart from the incantation spell. So the 2 ways that you summon this is you summon it using Advanced Ritual Art, and I'll show you the card we use for that in a minute. The other option is you use the incantation spell. Unfortunately, Chaos Form is only going to be useful if you've got another one of these in hand, or if you've got the card that we use with Advanced Ritual Art in hand as well. So the consistency is quite rocky, but once you've brought him out once, as long as it doesn't get called by the grave, you can loop him around quite nicely. If it does get called by the grave, that's where you rely on the incantation in order to bring out your second copy. But the chances are, by the time you've used and abused him, whether he tributes himself, if he doesn't tribute himself, then you're absolutely fine. Like if you normal Rod, summon him out and then use his effect to tribute Rod as cost, as long as he doesn't hit the grave for a call by the grave, then you're going to be swinging in nice kind of stun zone. We've then got the one Magician of Dark Illusion, and then of course the one little tech, and this one actually shout out goes to Chris from the team. He actually plays this in his Dark Magician deck as well for this card. And it's just because it's a level 8 vanilla, so you can use it with Advanced Ritual Art to get into your Magician of Black Chaos Max. It is a nice little tech that can be used and abused. Of course, if you wanted to do a Dark Magician Blue Eyes hybrid, then you might have a little bit more consistency as well. But Cosmo Queen is a dark, so if you wanted to put a lore in it, it's a target for that. And it is a spellcaster as well. So it does provide certain usages. Plus, also, after you've Advanced Ritual Art, if you want to call Monster Reborn it, you can. Otherwise, it is another spellcaster in the graveyard for your Magicalized Fusion. Then to help the consistency of the Ritual Summon, we do play 2 Incantation Candle, 2 Talismandra, 1 Bookstone, and 1 Pencil. Now, obviously, the Bookstone, again, is another spellcaster, so that does aid in your spellcasters in the graveyard for your Magicalized Fusion. And, of course, what you've got to be very, very careful of is the ones that reveal ritual monsters, which are these 2 or 3 here, technically. You've only got 2 ritual monsters in the main deck right now, so that is going to be less consistent, and you can't search it out just off the bat. That's where Manju might come in, or that's where you want to be using these to search him out. Now, the other ones we do have is Candle, and of course Bookstone. Now, these operate by revealing a ritual spell. Now, the ritual spells we do play 4 of, however, Chaos Max is easily searchable. You get that off of milling it from a Dark Magical Circle, or of course if you search it directly out with Rod. So that's where the consistency comes in, which is why you ideally want to be focusing on the reveal a ritual spell incantation in order to bring out the bigger incantations for this one, because these ones add the ritual monster as well. So the idea is you want to use Candle and Book to bring out your Talimandra or your Pencil. Pencil adds the monster back from the graveyard, and then Talismandra adds the monster from deck to hand. So Talismandra is the most important. You want this in your deck. Again, it is a dark as well, so if you wanted to play a lore, you've got Bookstone and of course Talismandra effects there. And that's kind of the ratio of the incantations. Then onto the spells, we do have triple Pot of Extravagance. I'm not 100% sure if this is the best card for the deck. We do not rely on the extra deck massively at all. The issue with the other cards is if we were to put a lore in here, you don't really want to be banishing some of your dark monsters. It's not the best way of going about it. What might be worth it is you could use Storm of the Dragons. Because it is a normal trap card as well, it lets you target a banished monster and special summon it to the field but return it to the hand. So obviously you can't special summon your ritual monster, but that's where the Dark Magician comes in play. It then means that you'll be playing 2 additional cards to kind of counteract the negative effects of a Law of Darkness, which is why we don't play it. However, you could also play Pot of Desires. The reason you'd play Desires in this deck is purely because the deck is sitting at 44 cards. You could theoretically bump it up, but the issue with Dark Magician is its consistency is already quite low, so you've got to be very, very careful with bumping above a 40 card deck unless you have consistent amounts or consistent ways of searching all pieces that you need. If you were going to bump it up a deck, then that's where more incantations come into it, especially the ritual monster alongside your Manjus, and then of course you'd focus more on traps as well, and argue about with stuff like duality, which can be used as well. And then of course every Dark Magician deck requires triple Dark Magical Circle. One that I'm not too sure on, but it's just so important, is Advanced Ritual Art. Again, you can only resolve this once in the deck. Once you have sent your Cosmo Queen from your deck to the grave, that is it. The other 2 copies do become dead cards. So that's where you've kind of got to question the consistency of this. Again, you just search it off of the incantations to get it. but it's really, really touch and go and just trying to figure out the best way in a Dark Magician deck to run the Magician of Chaos Max, because it's that powerful that you do need to be getting it as early as you possibly can and as consistently as you possibly can, to then resolve its effect, get it onto board, stun your opponent during their turn while you've got your navigations or your Eternal Soul set, and then you kind of build your plays further on from there. So that's the reason we play this at 3. It can be cut down. This is probably the one that you would cut down, and kind of push it from there. I do only play the 1 Chaos form, again, purely because it is easily searchable. And again, it's very rare because both the ritual spells here require the exact level. The only way you can use Chaos form is, like I said, if you have Cosmo Queen in hand, or if you have another one of the ritual in hand. On top of that, the only combination of incantations you can use is double Candle or the Bookstone and the Pencil. So you do really, really have to think about the ways in which you bring those incantations out onto the board. We've then got the 1 Illusion Magic, the 1 Monster Reborn, and the 1 Dark Magic Inheritance. Again, Inheritance can search you out your Chaos form as well. We've then got the 1 Magical Ice Fusion, because we haven't got abundance like in the Magical Ice Fusion or the Fusion variant of the deck. We do run Chocolate Magician Girl, Mahard. You could even run the new Palladium Mana as well, Dark Magician Girl, because we use Bond between teachers and student. And they've had to be sacrificed for the ritual engine of the incantations and the monster. Manju, like I said, if you wanted to cut the incantations down and put some of those other cards back in, you would then put your Manjus in as well, and that's where Manju fights Rod for the normal summon. And if your Manju gets stopped, then you're in a bit of trouble. The last one I've spelled, of course, is the incantation. Now, the reason this one is so important is because it lets you ritual summon any monster. However, you could only use incantations, but it does let the level equal or exceed the required summon. So, of course, if you then go Candle into Talismandra and you've already searched out your ritual monster, of course, you then get to loop this as well in the graveyard, and it gives you a bit more consistency for the ritual monster. So this is actually really quite important, and that's where you could argue about putting in the ritual incantation as well, the Chalice Slime. For the traps, we've got triple navigation, triple back to the front, and now these are our normal traps. This one is purely here to loop the ritual monster after you've successfully summoned it. However, it can still be used to loop your Dark Magicians and your Magician of Dark Illusions should you need them to as well. So it does provide more usage in the deck. We then play double Trap Trick. Trap Trick purely because of the back to the front and of course your navigation, so it does have multiple usages. The whole idea is you want to combo off your Trap Trick into your back to the front with your ritual monster on board. So then during your opponent's turn, if you've already successfully ritual summoned it, you contribute himself to get rid of it. Now the reason that we run this, or the risk of running this, is you can run into Call by the Graves, so you do have to be very, very careful with that being one of your main weaknesses alongside the destruction of Eternal Soul. However, just being able to go back to the front and summoning back your Magician of Black Chaos Max can really stun your opponent, because then it means you can loop them during your turn. So if they don't open up a Call by the Grave, you tribute him off. If you want to be careful, you can tribute something else off, of course, or cautious. You tribute him off, then use his effect. Alternatively, what you could be doing is, if you do the combo with Rod, search out the Chaos form, and then of course you do the whole incantation plays, however you need to. You can use back to the front to loop the monster that you're tributing off, not necessarily the Magician of Chaos Black Chaos Max, purely because you just go, okay, back to the front, or for example, use the ritual monster, tribute off Rod, your opponent's locked out monster effects. During their end phase, you play back to the front, bring back Rod. You then go during your turn, use your monster's effect to tribute off the Rod. They're now as a fight again. Attack with your monster at 2800. Not to mention if you drop an apprentice down on them or anything like that. Then during their next turn, you tribute off the monster or the apprentice, anything like that. Then it will stun your opponent again for a turn. Then come back to it and you're swinging for 2800 beaters. They're locked out monster effects, and you're just really, really stunning your opponent on an continuous loop. It just means that you do need to have the pieces of back to the front, Trap Trick, an additional monster to kind of do the loop. But looping your opponent under an Azathoth with a 2800 beater continuously is always going to be powerful. And then of course we've got the 2 Eternal Soul, biggest Achilles heel of the deck. you know, if you play your Eternal Soul and they do kind of MST it, then you're in big trouble. So the reason that Chaos Max has to be very, very important is it's when it's special summoned. So you will still need to back to the front this guy to then trigger his effect. So that's where you'll need to special summon it during your turn, use the effect. You will have to get rid of it during your turn. That means they can't call by the grave, but it does protect them. Then you use back to the front, bring him back, use the effect, tribute off the rod, off he goes. Then during your turn, tribute him off, hope they don't have a call by the grave, bring him back, and you just loop this guy around and around and around and around, constantly as a fighting your opponent, causing them huge amounts of trouble. And then your Dark Magician is slowly building up the board in the background with your navigations and stuff like that. Moving on to the extra deck, we'll start off with the XYZs. We do burn for our extra deck with Extravagance, so some of these aren't necessities, but the ones that are bumped up at higher ratios. So we do play the one Red Eyes Flare to close games out, one Big Eye, double Ibon Illusion because it is probably the better important rank 7. And stealing your opponent to off you go. Summoning a Dark Magician from deck, and then banishing an additional card. So it can be very, very important and powerful as you go, which is why it's at 2, because we don't want to try and lose all copies. Our additional Wincon of Quintet, again, is played at 2, alongside our Witch Apprentice to boost everything up by 500. Just imagine having your Black Magician or Black Chaos Max at 3200 because you've got a Witch on board. We've then got your double Link Spider. Of course, this is a whole loop with Eternal Soul and Dark Magician. So you bring out your Dark Magician, go off into a Link Spider, bring it back from the graveyard, Link Spider, bring it back from the graveyard. Again, continual loops. We've then got the one Nightmare Phoenix and the one Nightmare Unicorn, alongside double Black Luster. Now, if you don't have 2, do not worry, you can still play it at 1. The only reason we're playing this at 2 is because we don't want to lose its copy off of Extravagance. The reason that this card is so good is if you do use it using a level 7 or higher monster, so your Dark Magician, your Magician of Chaos Max, anything like that, it does become an untargetable 3k beta that can then gain 1500 attack every single turn when it destroys a monster by battle. So just imagine that you're stalling your opponent out with your Magician of Galactic Chaos, you use Magician's Navigation, bring down a Dark Magician, and even an Apprentice. Apprentice searches out a Dark Magician. You then go onto your board an additional bit more. You use your Dark Magician, Magician Dark Illusion, and Apprentice. Go into this guy with this guy on board as well. You've got an Azathoth with an untargetable Blackluster Soldier, 3k beta. Use this effect to banish the back rows. And hopefully when you're banishing the back rows, you're getting rid of the Call by the Graves. And off you go. And then finally, we've got the one Apollosia, Bow of the Goddess. Now the reason we play this over stuff like Borrow Sword and Borrow Load is because this can require 2 monsters with different names. So if you do want to set up your negations, you do have, of course, your Phoenix that can start stuff off as well. And this can require any monsters as long as it adds up to Link 4, but you can use a minimum of 2, so you can use 2 Link 2s, or of course you can use a Link 3 and a Link 1, anything like that to kind of get your ratios up and going. So it does give you a lot to play around with. It can be very, very control orientated and cause your opponent a lot of issues. Your other alternative to protect you by Call by the Grave is, of course, Secret Village of the Spellcasters. And again, that will come down to ratios in the deck and just other alternatives that you think you can find that will consistently be able to add to this deck as well. Like I said, there's still a bit to work on with the deck. The whole idea is that you do need to be making sure that your Magician of Chaos Max is special summoned during your opponent's turn to then use his effect, because it is a trigger effect that if it is special summoned, you then get to use its effect. So you've got to be very, very careful on the ways of using it, and that's why Call by the Grave is your biggest enemy against this card, but Back to the Front is also your biggest ally in this deck as well. So, I hope this helps. I hope this gives you an idea of your own build, something to kind of structure around the Black Chaos Max. Like I said, if you do want to go for like just a hybrid, you're best going off with your Blue Eyes Chaos Max, because you know you might not be able to search this off of the Dragon's not Rhapsody. The one that you discard 1 and search 2, again, it's run out of my head, but you may not be able to search it off of that. However, you can, if you're using the incantations, because if you use creature swap, you can game your opponent with your Chaos Max. It just gives the Chaos Max deck a first turn play, because then you're going to be aiming for this first turn to stun your opponent. you're then going to, of course, aim for your Chaos Max the next turn to kill your opponent. Or, of course, you have the ability to get both out. You go with this guy to stun your opponent during that turn, which means they can't ash any of your following plays. And then you're going to Chaos Max them for game. So it's really, really up in the air of how you want to play it. Consistency will be better with the Chaos Max deck, but it does also mean that if in the future we get a Blackluster Soldier Chaos, because Chaos Form does mention Blackluster Soldier as well, then you do get the ability to kind of make a Chaos Max deck, which would be really, really cool, because then you can use this, BLS, trade-ins, and of course use your Chaos Max, Blue Eyes, trade-ins, anything like that. So the one, like I said, the biggest downside is it is a level 8. If it was a level 7, it might be a little bit too busted in my opinion, because then, of course, you're using your Advanced Ritual Art more consistently. You can then also play in the other level 7 Ritual, Dark Magician of Chaos as well, and you'd have a lot more consistency with the deck. And an Azathoth for a deck like this, or just a generic Azathoth Ritual monster, can always cause issues. We saw what Azathoth does to the game and decks in nowadays. So being able to have like a more consistent ritual monster for that version could cause a lot of issues. But that is it for the updated Dark Magician. It now has a nice little stun card of the deck. You do have to go out of your way to bring it up during your opponent's turn. But if that is what you want to be doing, and it is something that aids in your deck, then why not do it? But that is it for the Dark Magician deck profile. Please, like I said, check out our Gold Sark giveaway, where you can win one of all of the brand new promos, so your Dimensions, your Nibiru's, and of course your Dark Ruler no more. Check out our tin opening. That will be the giveaway in the link in the description below. Very, very simple on how to enter that, and I've got 3 lucky winners coming up for that one as well. That will end next week, so make sure you keep your eyes out on that. But for now, I hope you like this. I hope it helped. We will be bringing you a Red Eyes and a Blue Eyes version as well. Not of this deck, of course, but with the new cards, just to kind of show you what they aid or add to the deck. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, enter that giveaway. I mean, the promos are free. All you got to do is write down in the comments below of that video and follow the instructions, and you could be one of the 3 lucky winners. Anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, guys, happy dueling. What's up, YouTube? Dad here with Zephyr Games. Thanks for watching that video. If you liked it, please hit that big thumbs up button in the bottom corner as well. And don't forget to hit the big red subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. Make sure you click that notification bell as well so you know every time one of our new videos goes up. Throughout the whole year of 2019, we're going to have more deck profiles, duels, and of course pack openings for you guys to watch and enjoy the entire year round. So stay tuned for more, and as always, guys, happy dueling.